Bismillahi Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi al-kareem. Wa ala alihi wa ashbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum, fam. Practicing on a new intro. So, I want to talk to you today about the consciousness of the type of women who kiss alcohol bottles. And I think some women feel they get a sense of power, clout, adornment, sophistication even, from kissing alcohol bottles. You'll see them on TikTok, kissing it, holding it. It'll be Crown Royal, Bacardi, Hennessy, something of this nature, right? And what I think is really interesting is if you analyze it and you take a step back, you realize they're kissing a bottle that's literally just poison for their bodies. Both spiritual poison and literal poison. And it shows you that they're a degenerate drinker. That they like getting hammered and taking risky chances and putting themselves in danger around wild women and wild men. And that they like packing on extra calories, and they use alcohol as a sort of scapegoat for their problems, and they can only have fun when they're drunk. There's a lot of things you can examine why drinking culture is so pervasive, okay? Now, I think that no alcohol commercial should be allowed on television. I think all advertisements for alcohol should be banned. I think that no alcohol company should be allowed to have an Instagram or Twitter or anything like that. And I would completely decimate alcohol production in America so that people would be less brainwashed into getting it. When you watch the Super Bowl in the back in the day, you would see commercials of people looking happy, beautiful women, and you would get kind of deluded into this illusion of alcohol equals happiness. Whereas someone like me who watched family members slowly kill themselves because of alcoholism, you begin to see the nasty nature of alcoholism, and you begin to despise people who make exclusions for alcoholism. Like, well, some people can just have one or two. But in reality, alcohol causes more damage to people than most substances that are openly endorsed. So, if you're going to overdose on French fries, you getting into a car and smashing into somebody is less likely. But alcohol is a vice, whereas it makes men lazy, women more loose. It creates different kinds of cancers. It hurts children when the mother's pregnant and she drinks. It makes people say things they wouldn't normally say. Makes people fight when they normally wouldn't. It is a net drain on a human's productivity and safety. Okay? So, women who feel the need to record themselves mumbling and kissing bottles should be a red flag for most men, because a woman who is so bold in this affair has to be, given therapy and told out of it. I didn't understand this till much later. When after work, I remember in the restaurant industry, people would go out for a beer because there was a bar next door, Jello shots, things like that. You begin to kind of realize that people use alcohol in a very sick, twisted way. That's why when you hear Catholics make excuses like Jesus drank wine to let then Catholics drink wine, it kind of just really makes you very sad. It's a weapon. It's a very strong weapon. And in the medieval era in Italy, people drank wine because alcohol would sterilize the water. And they didn't have a lot of running water back then, so, they tried to prevent sickness. But today, you can't have the same excuse. If you look at how alcohol has ravaged the Christian community, you would think that they would start to totally denounce it. But now you see conservative Christian males endorsing whiskeys often, bourbon, and different rye blends and stuff. This is strange because alcohol gives a gut belly, makes your sperm weaker, it makes you more lethargic, and our culture rewards people who the more they can drink, the cooler they are. And this is quite sad because you see people urinate on themselves, vomit. You see girls get sloppy, stumbling downstairs, their butts exposed. And predatory men and predatory lesbians take advantage of women in this state. So it really opens you up for horrible memories and really dark paths. So when you see someone who is maybe your friend or acquaintance, rather, you shouldn't have friends like that, but let's say they make a mistake and they're, taking a picture with a bottle of whiskey or vodka, you name it, grappa, there's tons of stuff, scotch, and they have like a rap song in the back, or they have some nasty Cardi B song, or some romantic song. Sometimes you gotta watch out for like the Vicente Hernandez romantic music, because that kind of shows a sign of depression. And you should calmly approach this person and say, hey, why don't we go play chess? Why don't we go fishing? Why don't we go hiking? Why don't we go hunting? Why don't we go on a kayak? Why don't we, go volunteer? Why don't we go pick up trash? Try to help your friend to say, this isn't productive for you. Because if we actively can make people see how foolish they look, it's like a drug addict kissing their needle. It's very strange. And the more we break the stigma around it and stop the alcohol culture, I think the healthier society will be. Because the permanent damage that alcoholism causes is a problem. Like I said, I've had multiple aunts die from alcoholism. I had a stepmom who died from alcoholism. I had another stepmom who was an alcoholic. I had a stepfather who was an alcoholic. Another one of my aunts has to get a liver transplant because she was an alcoholic and her husband was an alcoholic. So when you see these atheists, these secular liberals, and they glorify wine culture and the restaurant industry, you see a lot of turtleneck wearing, blue jeans, Sam Harris clones, just stuffing their big noses in glasses of red wine and smelling it, and really just being obsessed with wine. They don't have God, but they have wine. Kind of makes you think about the pagan god Bacchus, because these Dionysian type of people obsessed with intoxicants shows you the degeneracy in it. And the way swinger culture and orgies pop up is because of alcohol. So the more we break down how pathetic people look when they're drunk, how ridiculous they are, how unhealthy it is. How if you want to go to the gym, if you're drinking alcohol all the time, you're packing on useless calories. And if some retarded person says, well, actually, a glass of red wine at dinner is perfectly fine. A glass of wine every day exponentially increases your problem of kidney failure and stomach ulcers and brain damage, amongst many other issues in your body. Okay? And someone can say, well, my grandpa, he drank, hardcore, scotch, and he never had liver cancer. Okay, but that doesn't mean you then let your friend walk down the dark path of alcoholism. And when certain people get to a level of alcoholism, they start to use it as a crutch. And pulling that bottle from their hands is very, very hard. Very hard. And they will sneak it, hide alcohol under their bed. They will drink in front of their kids. They will do anything. It's quite destructive. So, with these women who think that by showing themselves balling, right? Oh, we drinking this, we drinking this, blah, 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 blah. And they're like kissing the bottle. What you're seeing is someone literally kiss their own poison. It's like kissing the bullet that's going to shoot you. Kissing the sword that's going to slice your throat. It's that dark. It's really that dark. Because people who've actually watched alcoholics suffer and wiggle and call out in pain and their hands are shaking, you change inside, if you're a good person, that is, and you think, man, this is so horrible. And if you're like me and you see it again and again and again, you're like, wow. And then you see the commercials that the liberals allow because they're so cool, they're so posh, they're so sexy liberals. They see it as something nice and they censor and hide the negative side. And for them in the restaurant, it's about money. When I worked with these liberals, the way they said, like, who wants to taste this new wine? Like, they all get excited. They're all just, like, really into drinking on the job. Sneaking, a Bailey's alcohol in their coffee cup. I mean, it's insane. It's really insane how much alcoholism is in the restaurant industry. And it's quite sad. During the lockdowns, they kept a lot of the liquor stores open, so more people became alcoholics during the lockdowns because they couldn't work. So the alcohol culture that people seem to love so much is destroying lives. Truly, it is. Further, just have in your heart pity for these people. How they've been deluded and brainwashed by celebrities, musicians, and other nonsense to literally be joyful when they're harming their own selves. So if you see your friend, your cousin, your auntie, whomever, slipping into this behavior, saying like they're not Muslim, that would be like a very good time for dawah, to show them the wisdom of why Islam bans intoxicants. You can also just talk about car wreckage rates, alright? How many people drunk drive, and how many people lose their life drunk driving or cause someone else to lose their life. There's so many different ways we can approach the dawah to give it to these people, to show the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and how He has forbidden such a dangerous product. Now, the secular liberal atheists, they always bring up prohibition and saying how the Italian, Jewish, and Irish mobs, they used to, have these wars with each other over it, and that by making it legal, it made crime go down. Okay, they weren't shooting each other in the streets and, stealing each other's trucks and stuff like that, but more people got access to stuff, and more men beat their wives, and more people were corrupted and led astray, and lost their life due to a cancer. And many have, in the past, looked at how the Irish community and the Native American tribes, when given whiskey and scotch, destroyed the men because they literally couldn't keep their hands off the bottle. And so many of the tribal chiefs and the warriors became addicted to alcohol. They would trade, pelts for whiskey. And the pilgrims, the new arrivals could see that this substance that they knew how to brew from Europe could kill their own enemy faster. So give them alcohol, we will take their lands, we will sedate them, and we will slowly encroach upon their territory. The men won't really be up for a fight, and we'll take them over. And it worked. A lot of people, I'm sure, wrote down the things that they witnessed, but things get burned, things get lost, the language barrier. But there is at least surviving tales of the wind, as you say, of how many good tribal men became weaker because of alcohol. It is a destructive tool. So pity the people who openly boast about drinking and about how many shots they're downing. They're literally just poisoning themselves. And the day they go to the doctor and they are told, we have to give you a transplant or you're going to die, are they going to be bawling about that? Or are they going to be crying on TikTok saying, pray for me, this, and that? So the people who cheer them on to poison themselves probably won't donate to the medical bill for the organ transplant or visit them in the hospital. And that's how you know the alcohol culture is so sick. It is quite interesting It's just really strange how we have to work so hard to kind of break that conditioning. But I have successfully, alhamdulillah, broken out of it. But if you see one of your family members struggling with that, or they show you their like private bar, I had an uncle who had a private bar in his house, in his estate. And it's just like, this is a way they brag about different concoctions to poison yourself. Instead of saying, here's my garden, here's all the food I grew by hand, it's how many different of these liquids do you want to try that'll make you commit mistakes and get you closer and closer to cancer. It is quite sad. It is quite sad. So, try to help these people. We can't let everyone fall off the cliff. That would be some of my advice for you. If we take away the coolness angle to it, this can help a lot of people. Because we have to deprogram them from what society has pumped into their brains as status, as achievement, as fun, as entertainment. Hope you have a good day, and let me know what you think.